So there's this chap on YouTube, whose channel goes by the name of Millennial Woes, who, even though I find myself disagreeing with a lot of times, I really like to watch his channel. Even if it is for the fact that he fills his live streams with a lot of loony people. Like this bitch.
Yep.
Okay. Excellent. Okay.
Okay, darling, focus.
I think, yes, that we can completely chuck feminism aside, because I don't believe that what we need is a movement that isolates women's and women's issues alone, particularly if we're going for an egalitarian approach.
I'm with you so far.
If we're even trying to get back to some of those societies in ancient Europe.
Okay, you're starting to lose me now. So you advocate for an egalitarian approach as opposed to feminism, which I agree with, but then you're going to equate that with trying to go back to the societies of ancient Europe? I'm not sure those societies were very egalitarian.
That worked together and had what would be perceived as a more equal approach to gender roles, and allowed for women warriors to come forth.
Okay, women warriors. I see what kind of individual we're dealing with now. The kind of individual that takes history lessons from Hollywood movies and video games. Please proceed.
Because that's the way society's always been.
Yeah, that's exactly the way society has always been. Filled with women warriors that were allowed to come forth by an ancient European society that advocated for equal gender roles. I don't know if you remember the women hoplites, very famous, or the women legions of the Roman Empire, or the women barbarians that combated the Roman Empire, or the women Vikings that raided England, and even the women that disembarked on Omaha Beach, and in Normandy, just in general. Yeah, those women. No, those never existed. I'm sorry.
We haven't needed feminism. Amelia Earhart, for example, she didn't need feminism. She wanted to be a pilot. She didn't want to be a mother. She wanted all of these things that feminism now advocates women being allowed to do, and she did it before feminism, and no one stopped her. I mean, you can read her biography and learn about her life, and a lot of women were like that.
Well, let's be honest here. I think that the amount of feminism, if you can even equate it to an amount, that was present in the early 20th century was much higher than that of ancient European societies, from where the famous hoplites, women hoplites, came from, and all that jazz.
I don't think that there was ever a need for feminism. Historically, I mean, in isolated pockets of different cultures, and particularly in Europe even, were women mistreated and treated as less than? Of course. I mean, societies ebb and flow, and the way that the genders are treated, or the way that children are treated, or men are treated, kind of peaks and falls all over the place when you look at it as a whole and as a scope. But in general, I don't think that we need feminism, and I think we can chuck the whole thing aside. It's become so polluted and corrupted at this point. Anyways, I don't think that there's not really any salvaging it.
Okay, I don't disagree with you, but it's just the explanation that you're offering is just completely historically inaccurate and just deprived of logic and sense. I'm sorry. Okay, but this is where the good part comes in. Ready? Prepare yourself. This is going to be good.
And the way I feel about women's suffrage is I often say that the cat's already out of the bag. Women are already voting in America, so and in Europe, and so I don't think that we can go back to a time before.
Do you want to go back to a time before?
That necessarily, but I don't think that women's suffrage was a good idea at all.
But why?
And what if we went to a time when nobody was voting?
Ah, a sensible question, finally.
Oh, I don't know how I feel about that exactly. I think that if you're going to have a system where people are voting, then I think male landowners of the ethnic background that the country was formed around. So, for example, if you're talking, England, let's say, for example, then I think, white Englishmen who own property should be able to vote.
Holy fuck! That's a pretty bold statement to make. Let's hear some reasons.
I don't think anyone else should be able to. They have someone who doesn't own anything, has whether they're male or female, has no vested interest in that country. They're kind of like just paying rent.
I'm sorry. Someone who doesn't own land has no vested interest in the country? They're just paying rent, you say? It's mind-boggling. And completely devoid of self-awareness, too. I mean, you do not have a vested interest in your country, as far as you yourself are concerned, because you do not fall in the category that you completely made up of people who have a vested interest in their country, which are male landowners, which you clearly are not. So, how does that work exactly? Because the very fact that you are espousing this position is in itself an argument against your position. It doesn't make sense.
And they can't really, I don't think they really have the right to vote other people's property away through taxation.
Voting other people's property away through taxation? Okay, first of all, what does that sentence even mean? Okay, voting other people's property away, fine. Through taxation, how do you even do that? I don't even know how that makes sense. But who the fuck, where in the world do people vote other people's property away? I don't have in my city poll, I don't see, oh, okay, a list of property owners, let's see, there's a little poll here, and you can vote which person has going to have their property taken away for the state, and now the property will be common property. Where the fuck does that exist? Honestly. It doesn't make sense. You're completely making things up. Your argument is based on completely making things up. Either it is through the political system or through history. You're just making things up. It doesn't add on. And you're contradicting yourself. So shut the fuck up.
And because that just encourages more people sucking off the system as kind of, and not investing in the system, but that's a whole other conversation. But as far as, I don't know, as far as voting, I'm definitely not a monarchist, if that's the question. So I'm pro-voting in general, but I think we should limit it.
Oh my god, stop with the contradictions. I'm pro-voting in general, but only for a very, very limited spectrum of individuals who fall into the ethnical background of the country and who are male and who are landowners. How is that in general? That's the opposite of general. That is specific as fuck. Well, she's done talking now. It was very entertaining. Thank you, whoever you are. I'm going to leave a link to the Hangout, and I hope you have a grand time watching, and do not be rude. I know that I'm rude sometimes, but do not be rude. Be calm and civil, and have a good day.